Chicago knows how to kick off a new year right, and that's with good food and plenty of options. You already know what I'm talking about. Chicago Restaurant Week is back in full effect from January 23rd through February 28th. The 19th annual event produced by Choose Chicago features prefix menus. I'm talking $30 for lunch, $45 or $60 for dinner at, get this y'all, more than 500 restaurants across the city. You can go to the website to see the full list or filter by cuisine type. You can use the map feature, but here's a little tip for you. Go on and make your reservations now because they go quick. Explore participating restaurants and menus at chicagorestaurantweek.com and book those tables now. Chicago knows how to kick off a new year right, and that's with good food and plenty of options. You already know what I'm talking about. Chicago Restaurant Week is back in full effect from January 23rd through February 28th. The 19th annual event produced by Choose Chicago features prefix menus. I'm talking $30 for lunch, $45 or $60 for dinner at, get this y'all, more than 500 restaurants across the city. You can go to the website to see the full list or filter by cuisine type. You can use the map feature, but here's a little tip for you. Go on and make your reservations now because they go quick. Explore participating restaurants and menus at chicagorestaurantweek.com and book those tables now. This episode mentions sexual assault, so please take care when listening. Today on CityCast Chicago, we're discussing the latest report from the Chicago Public Schools Inspector General, the Bears' historic playoff comeback, and the best deals of Chicago Restaurant Week. It's Tuesday, January 13th. I'm Jacoby Cochran, and this is what Chicago's talking about. I've got producer Michelle Navarro in the building. How you feeling, my friend?
Hey, Jacoby. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's always good to have you in the building. Michelle, let's start with the annual report from the CPS Inspector General. There were a few investigations laid out in this nearly 100-page report, including investigations into financial fraud carried out by some staff members and teachers within the district, including a network chief, a program manager, an IT employee, and some principals. There were concerns about the rising costs of travel trips with five-star hotels, costly airfare, but the biggest investigation to come out of this report was one that looked into a culture of sexual assault at a high school in Chicago. Last year, a former CPS dean was sentenced to 22 years for sexually abusing a student at Little Village High School who was between the ages of 15 and 17 years old. However, CPS Office of the Inspector General, this report found that this was not an isolated incident. Instead, over the course of a 3-year investigation, they uncovered multiple cases of sexual misconduct and assault at the high school and at one of the 3 campuses they shared a building with. Michelle, again, this investigation was going on for 3 years. Can we talk a little bit through this?
Yeah, so since 2017, NBC5 Investigates found that at least 7 educators, including 2 administrators and 5 teachers, had resigned or been fired while under investigation for sexual misconduct at Little Village Greater Lawndale High School. The report that came out of CPS's OIG found that school employees groom students for sexual relationships, both in person and social media. The Inspector General found that there was this culture at the school that blurred the lines around boundaries between staff and students, while the Inspector General's investigation found many sexual misconduct allegations against the educators. Like you mentioned, Jacoby, it took 3 years when NBC5 had already reported on these cases for this investigation to get laid out. And all the employees, like mentioned, have left the district or resigned. But the cases at these 2 schools, so it's a little confusing because Greater Lawndale High School has another school that shares campuses like with that building. So like you mentioned, Jacoby, all the investigated employees left the district or resigned. But according to Chalk Beat Chicago, the cases at these 2 schools were among 335 that the Inspector General's Sexual Allegations Unit closed in 2025. There is was 55 reports substantiating misconduct, the unit also opened 246 new cases during the year. Now, most of the abuse at the Little Village Lawndale High School took place before 2018, peaking mostly around 2016, 2017. And one of those being, the dean who was convicted last year. They also found a former teacher and a coach at Greater Lawndale High School who groomed a 17-year-old student. But because Illinois' grooming laws only apply to children age 16 and younger, they couldn't find evidence for this criminal offense. Another teacher, which Chalkbeat described as someone who, quote, styled himself as a champion for female students, spoke about rescuing girls from abusive relationships and launched a legal aid clinic at the school, leading to some students to confide in him about past sexual trauma and other issues. And after graduation, he would reach out to them on social media where he made these sexual advances. And this was a common thread that was found that, even if maybe if the sexual abuse didn't occur while they were students, a lot of this happens right after graduation.
Exactly.
Which is alarming because it's not a big difference. The report kind of points to that there was this general lack of boundaries on the campus, which enabled abuse, that there was teachers and students or staff kind of following on social media, which, nowadays social media, there's these boundaries that can be blurred because, you have each other as friends. And it seems like there wasn't this understanding that, someone who's underage shouldn't be connected to an authority figure, someone that teaches them at a school on social media. And then at a lot of the time, this is where the grooming would happen and where a lot of the students that were, that spoke to the Inspector General's office about how this abuse continued. And, as a CPS student, and I guess across America, this isn't something new. There's always been cases of sexual misconduct with teachers and students.
I had a coach who made it clear when we would coach high school students for our university that, she would not accept any friend requests. She wouldn't follow anyone on social media. But yeah, I can't imagine as social media has become more and more, because when I was in high school, it still wasn't there yet. Not everyone had a phone in their pocket yet. And so I can't imagine how social media has only further emboldened predators. Because again, if you're talking about a teacher who, will say, well, I made no advances to students, but as soon as they're graduating, you're in their DMs, you were grooming people. You were lurking over these students. You were looking at these students inappropriately. You were thinking about making advances, before they graduated. And again, I can't think of a friend that I have who doesn't have at least one of these stories.
The specific teacher that Chalkbeat kind of talked about opening a legal clinic, that one particularly made my stomach turn because I thought about my 15, 16, 17-year-old self and how no one was really talking about abusive relationships. No one was really talking about sexual trauma. And to think that, there was a teacher who became a safe space for these young girls and that they felt trusted by him, with probably stories that were very personal. And for this teacher to then later, turn his back against their trust and to then reach out to these young girls. And so to see that a particular teacher was in this, they were a safe space for students, and to use that trust against them, it was really hard to stomach and to see.
While we were looking through the OIG's report, I came across a investigation that the Tribune did back in 2018 called Betrayed. And that was a watershed moment in the district when they started to pursue some of these reform efforts. Since that investigation, the OIG created the Sexual Assaults Unit. They have CPS added language onto their website and to their handbook to further outline what is sexual misconduct in a school. But when you read that 2018 report, when you see the map that there were incidents across the city, this was not something that fell along particular lines of the city. There were cases across the city of Chicago. There were reports from teachers, lunchroom staff, security guards, deans, coaches. The children range from grammar school through high school. And so the district has been dealing with growing scrutiny for the better part of a decade. And the inspector general continues to make recommendations, particularly around grooming and what it means for teachers to be pursuing students right after graduation. And so Chicago Public Schools, or the OIG, is really leaning on Chicago Public Schools to go back into their policies around social media use in school, the connection between staff members and students on social media, and how do we create safer boundaries in these spaces, and ultimately protect young people. Because what's clear from this report is that these investigations seemingly don't come out for years. They take years to conduct. And as we've seen when we've talked about Chicago police, they can run on for so long that the perpetrators are allowed to not only leave the district or the institution, but potentially move on into other teaching positions or other positions where they're involved with young people without much accountability taking place in that time.
Yeah, and there was a ban put on these employees, but in Illinois. So who knows? And something else too, comparable to when we see settlements with Chicago police officers, they happen after the harm has been done. And something that I think would be important to mention, because I went to a predominantly Latino high school. Greater Lawndale High School for Social Justice is predominantly Latino. It also has, a population of Black students. But, as a Latina here in Chicago, I know that in our culture, sexual misconduct, sexual abuse, even though this is happening in all parts of the city, it's still such a taboo conversation for people to have. And I'm particularly speaking again as a Latina in the Latino culture. And so I urge parents that are listening, older siblings that are listening, if there is a high schooler, a young student in your life somehow, to have these conversations about the boundaries and what is right and what is wrong. And at the end of the day, to teach kids to trust their gut, that if something doesn't feel right, it's because it isn't. I feel so grateful that I had a lot of mentors during my time in high school. I had an amazing cheerleading coach. I had amazing teachers who were so supportive during my 4 years, and counselors too, who looked after me, and they made me feel safe and they made me feel protected. And if something were to happen to me, I had people that I can trust and go to. And there's still so many people in CPS that can be that for our students. And so I just urge that, having these conversations with children in your life can really go a long way and can really help students avoid this kind of harm, even though it shouldn't be on them. It's our responsibility to protect children. It's our duty, and we need to keep having these conversations.
The report shows what the breakdown of complaints have been to the Inspector General, and the Office of the Inspector General also made some clear recommendations moving forward, including: one, that CPS adopt a policy that prohibits staff members from engaging in certain interactions with recently graduated and disenrolled students. Two, that CPS modify its training materials on grooming to emphasize the point that CPS policy prohibits a staff member from building an emotional connection with the student to gain their trust and break down their inhibitions for a sexual purpose. Three, that CPS provide additional training to all shared campus staff members regarding their duty to report allegations of potential sexual misconduct. Four, that the Office of Student Protections evaluate the shared campus's compliance with the enforcement of CPS's staff acceptable use policy and CPS's standards of conduct for maintaining professional boundaries between staff and students. And number five, that the Office of Student Protections and Title IX continue to conduct substantial outreach to the shared campus community to ensure that individuals in that community are properly supported. Additionally, for anyone listening, the OIG wants to make it very clear that it is never too late to make a report. I know so much of the cases we discussed today were things that happened nearly a decade ago, but that also means that the likelihood that this type of misconduct is happening at some campus across the Chicago public school system right now means that we can potentially intervene now. If you know someone who is impacted, if you yourself are impacted, if you know someone, over the last few years who has been impacted, the Office of the Inspector General wants you to know it is never too late to make a report. Speaking out for someone can make a difference, and training and awareness are key. It's a new year, and that means Chicago's theater scene has got shows you need to put on your calendar, starting with Eureka Day, the winner of the 2025 Tony Award for Best Revival of a Play, and it's making its Chicago premiere. So what happens is this school in California, Eureka Day School, is hit with a mumps outbreak. Already tragic, right? Now, this sends parents and the entire school board into chaos as they clash over vaccines, personal freedoms, and of course, viral misinformation. This hit satire is funny, it's intelligent, and it captures the absurdity of modern discourse on parenting and public health perfectly. Presented by Timeline Theater Company, Eureka Day is at the Broadway Playhouse, running from January 13th through February 22nd. So go on and get your tickets now, because they start at just $25 at BroadwayInChicago.com. It's a new year, and we've all got goals and things we want to accomplish. And if getting new windows is on your list, then Window Nation has the perfect sale for you. Right now, when you buy 4 windows, you can get 4 free. So maybe it's a good time to do your whole house. You get custom built, high quality windows, and maybe save on those future heating bills. Plus, you can get them with 0 down, 0 monthly payments, and 0 interest for 2 years. Installation crews finish the job in a day or less, so don't just tough it out for the rest of the winter. Schedule a fast, free estimate now at windownation.com. Michelle, I don't typically hear from the CityCast Chicago team over the weekend. We are a very strong Monday through Friday team, but I heard from everybody on Saturday night as the Bears were out here making history. Where were you Saturday night? What were you doing?
Saturday night, I was with my really close friend Lupita at Bridgeport Inn, my local dive bar, and it was a good time. They had chili out for us. I had a couple old styles, so it was a good night. Got to shoot some pool, but of course we were glued to the TVs the whole game.
Did you go there for the pool or the game, or did the game just happen to be on? Like what? Like,
no. We went for the game. We went for the game for sure. And so the crowd at the Bridgeport Inn was just as entertained as we were. But Jacoby, I want to know where you were. Where did you watch the game?
That's a good question, my friend. So for people who listened to last week's episode, whether it was Friday with Francia and Corley or with Simone last week, everybody already knew how excited I was for this Bears versus Packers, only third time in this illustrious rivalry that these two teams have met in the playoffs. Winner moves on, loser takes their ass to Cancun. And all of last week, I was certain I was going to be watching the game in either one of 3 places: at home, at my mom's house, or out at my boy Darius's crib at Homewood. And Friday night, this amazing, wonderful, fantastic, my brother, one of my best friends, my man's hit me up Friday night and said, "Hey, it's only one place to watch this game." I said, "Where?" "In the living room." He said, "No, in section 105, row 7, seats 1 and 2. Because, Michelle, I watched that game live in Soldier Field. The first Bears game I went to all last year. I actually went to the Bears versus the Packers last year, where the Bears notoriously missed a game-winning field goal. I posted a video of that Saturday morning, and I say it's gonna be different this time. That video now has like 15,000 views and a bunch of haters in the comments talking about, well, this is gonna be the last day of this season. This will be the last time you in Soldier Field this year. And to watch them have to eat their words, play after play, drive after drive in that fourth quarter, it is without a doubt the greatest live sporting event I've ever been to in my life. And it took a while for something to get number one. Not even being live at a Super Bowl could replace that moment. But Michelle, it has finally fallen. Because watching the Bears end a 15-year playoff drought, I was in college last time they won a playoff game. To watch them in that, and the only way apparently this Bears team knows how, which is a late comeback. These cardiac Bears have been addicted to late game heroics all season long. In fact, they are tied with the Denver Broncos now for the most in an NFL season this year with 7. It's the most a Bears quarterback has made a comeback in any given season since 1970. And being in that building as it went from this sort of sublime collective effervescence at the beginning of the game as the Bears are running out, like everyone sort of locked arms in this belief that we are about to win this game. And to watch that slowly get ripped from our chests, interception after interception, Jordan Love touchdown after Jordan Love touchdown. I found myself sitting down in my seat at halftime down 21-3, looking at my friend going, hey, how much more separation can we deal with? What is the score that we officially get up and we walk out of here and take that 15-minute blunt walk back to my house? And we honestly, at that point, we had set a number. I'm not going to tell it to you. We had set a number on how much we were willing to tolerate. And then it happened. They miss a kick. We hit a kick. We get the ball back. We run it in. We get the ball back. We score. 2-point conversion. They score. And now we like, oh my God. Now all of this comeback for nothing. We get the ball back again and we score. I'm gonna be honest, that was the longest 90 seconds watching to see if the Packers could get a game-winning touchdown. My stomach was in knots. I feel like tears were like welling up in the back of my eyes, but I'm happy to report that not only did we win, but I think Bears fans reached a new level of spiritual awakeness because that was our Super Bowl. And nothing that could happen this weekend could ever take away the joy that I felt Saturday night screaming at the top of my lungs on one of the most improbable. At one point in that game, Michelle, I'm going to take a guess. What do you think at our worst in the fourth quarter? What percentage chance do you think we had to win that game?
At the worst?
Mm-hmm.
Percentage to win the game?
Yeah.
20%?
4.6%. It's only the second worst odds because at one point in the Packers game in week 16, when we were down 16-6 with 5 minutes and 49 seconds left, we only had 3% chance to win that game. And so a part of me wants to look in the mirror and go, how at any point did your belief fail you? How at any point did you have any doubt? Because it looked impossible. And then it wasn't. And so I want to give a huge shout out to the MVP of that game, Green Bay Packers kicker, Brandon McManus. I want you to know, Wiener Circle hot dogs on your boy Kobe for the rest of your life. You eat free on me in this city whenever, however. And I hope y'all send it to him. And he reach out. And
Clip this.
And he tries to get me to live up to this because I will. A linear on me, my boy.
Oh.
And by on me, I mean I'm going to eat it with you. And then at the last minute, when it seems like I got the check locked up, I'm going to choke it away to you and run up out the restaurant and let you kick that check down the road, my boy. Shout out to Brandon, the real MVP. That's my whole monologue. I'm off my soapbox.
It was an incredible Saturday night. Everyone was looking so down in the dumps at halftime. And even someone came up to me and my friend and was like, "Hey, we got time." And after that, I
Mm-hmm.
lightened up a little bit. I was like, "You know what, Don? You're right. We do got time."
Mm-hmm.
And we did. We had the perfect amount of time.
I had to keep telling Darius it's okay. Every time Caleb would miss a throw, he'd be like, "Oh my God, I'm so frustrated. Like, how could you do that?" And I'm like, "Hey, he only in his second year." So, like, honestly, having somebody with me whose attitude was even worse, who was even more in the dumps, sort of kept me up. And I will say, I was sitting next to two of the sweetest Green Bay Packer fans this world has ever created. At one point at the beginning of the game, the young man, his girlfriend, he looked at me, he asked, how far did y'all travel for this game? And I said, like 20 minutes, like 20 minutes. He said, we came all the way from Dallas. He didn't have
Damn.
a single logo on. So I said, you a Packers fan, ain't you? He said, yeah. But he said, I'm so excited for the Bears. I'm so proud of y'all, no matter how this game goes. And he was one of those fans that, like, when things was going bad, he would just be like, it's okay. You know this team, they're going to come back. And it was almost like he was trying to reverse psychology himself out of the heartbreak that his team was about to choke like that. But they were the sweetest people I could ever watch get their hearts broken. And I loved every second of it. I could tell that he wanted that trip back to Dallas to mean so much. And yet, in spite of their best effort, that is one of the best choke jobs I've ever seen. Atlanta Falcons, move over. You may not be tormented by 28-3 much longer because this game may replace that, especially if the Bears go on to do something special. So I know a lot of people have been asking me, are you going to be in the building for the Rams? I can't handle that. I can't handle doing this twice. That was enough for me.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, the Bears are going to be playing the Rams, the Los Angeles Rams, at Soldier Field this Sunday, January 18th.
I'm going to be real. I'm a little afraid of the Rams. I think they, as easily as they can score 30 points on any team in the league, I also think they are good for letting a team score 30. And so if we play a game similar to that 49ers game a couple of weeks ago where it's just shootout, I like our chances. I would never get myself on the record saying something other than I do think we're going to win. And my hope is that we win a 35-24 game. But I'm definitely more worried about the Rams than I was the Packers, and don't think that 3-quarter effort we gave this past weekend will cut it. I will say, though, the Rams do not fare well outside since they left for old Los Angeles. They are 0-2 in games this year outside where the temperature dips below, I think it was 50. And right now they're forecasting something around 16 degrees. And so my hope is the LA boys pull up and it's just too cold for them and they can't hang.
Too cold, too icy.
People be like, well, Matthew Stafford played in Detroit. Detroit got a dome, mamacita. And so, yeah,
Okay.
I do believe in our chances. I'm going to stay humble. But again, we just won the Super Bowl, you ask me. I'm telling my kids that in 2026, the year of our Lord, the Bears were the Super Bowl champions.
Well, all I hope is that the man that was grating cheese, the man who got a cheese grater through Soldier Field security, to please get that man tickets again and put him on the camera, because I feel like that's where the good juju was at.
Mm-hmm.
So bring that man back to Soldier Field, please.
He gonna be in the building.
Yeah.
And shout out to the people who made the cheese grater hat.
Foam Party Hats is the company that's out of Texas, out of Houston, Texas. And they, after making their own cheese head hat, they ended up getting a cease and desist from the Green Bay Packers, basically saying, you can't be making no cheese heads. And, to be petty, they made the cheese grater hat, which now Block Club Chicago reported that there is like a 10,000 order list of people trying to get these cheese grater hats, which, shout out to them. Thank you for being petty to the Packers. And now we get a cool hat to wear. So I'm definitely going to try to get on this list because I would love a cheese grater hat.
Mm-hmm. Now, while many of my friends are frantically searching right now on how to get tickets for this weekend's Bears game, I got a whole nother section of friends who are trying to figure out how to get reservations for Chicago's forthcoming restaurant week. Michelle, we are about 10 days a week from over 500 restaurants breaking out the lunch and dinner deals. Are you excited for restaurant week this year?
I am. I love going out to eat in Chicago. It's one of my favorite things to do. Honestly, when a friend hits me up and is like, let's hang out, my first thought is breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And so this is a great opportunity to, I think, try something new. I feel like I usually go to my usual spots, but I'm going to take this opportunity to go somewhere, maybe somewhere that's a little bit pricier, just because, again, our newsletter editor, Emmy Mack, says that this is a good time to get a deal if you play your cards right. She suggests, doing some menu research on spots that you're interested in. Dinners usually cost from 45 to 60. Breakfast and lunches are usually range a little cheaper, maybe 30 to 40. And so I'm definitely going to be taking a look this week because, like you mentioned, Jacoby, even though we are 10-ish days away, it's important to kind of start booking now because they are
Uh-huh.
going to get packed fast. But with 507 restaurants that are participating, I'm sure you won't struggle too much to find somewhere. One spot that I haven't tried, but I've heard so many good things about is Demira. It was also
Mm.
on the Infatuations best deals of restaurant week list, and so that's a spot that I definitely want to try to get to. What about you, Jacoby? Is there any spots that you're already thinking about trying out?
Yes, one you put me on late last year, which was Rosemary. I've been trying to get over there. I've been to their sister restaurant to this point, but I've never just been able to find a table at a good time. And so I'd like to get
Mm.
over to Rosemary. One restaurant I went to late last year and have gone back already this year and may let restaurant week be my excuse to go back again is Mr. Tiger, the
Mm.
Korean restaurant over in West Town. It's not too far from Expat, where I like to go Friday, Saturday nights, and so it's becoming slowly but surely a nice 1-2 combo. But the Korean fried chicken, the galbi jim, like this beautifully cooked short rib, their jet lag, which is their version of an citrus espresso martini. They got this banana chocolate pie that's amazing.
Mm.
It was one of my favorite meals at the end of last year, and already so far this year one of my favorites. So I'd like to get back over there. So restaurants that I'd like to get back to include Mr. Tiger in West Town, Virtue in Hyde Park, Leor's Cafe out in Roseland on the far south side, and then restaurants that I have not been to, and I will use Restaurant Week as an excuse to go to: Nadu, the Indian restaurant in Lincoln Park, and then Rosemary in West Loop, because you have told me that their pasta is to die for. And so, yeah, I mean, again, January 23rd through February 8th, 500 plus restaurants, $35 lunches, $45 dinners, $60 dinners. Please check out our homie Paige Serena, who last year came on and did her restaurant week breakdown, the best deals of 2025. You already know she back at it, got a spreadsheet for you. So I drop a link in the show notes to her. Check out Paige's recommendations this year. As always, I appreciate our producers for making time to talk every Tuesday. Michelle, always good to see you.
Thanks, Jacoby.
And for everybody else, you know we can't close the door without some good news. Don't forget, the Tomorrow Never Knows Fest is still going. They've got shows Thursday through Saturday. This is just week 2. They got shows at Lincoln Hall, Shuba's, Metro, Sleeping Village, Hideout, G-Man Tavern, Color Club, and Ramova Theater. You can catch me at Ramova this Friday, where the homie FemDot has been moved from the loft space into the main hall because them tickets was selling too fast. So you can catch me there on Friday. But please check the show notes. We've been telling you for the last few weeks that getting outside during January is important. And so make sure you check out this festival. As always, I appreciate y'all for listening and reading. We're going to be back bright and early tomorrow. We'll talk to you then. Peace.